Carthage must be destroyed. I have here Clash of Katanas. Now, I just want to do a quick flip through of this book. I don't want to do a whole walkthrough. That's because I have no samurai models. I have already done a Clash of Spears, a walkthrough using the Punic War stuff that I had before. If you guys don't know, Clash of Spears was I think it was the 2020 Game of the Year award they got, and yeah, they have some awards behind it. It's a really cool game, and if you haven't checked it out, you can do that. This is a supplement book for Japan, and I think it is, according to the back here, the Sengoku Jidai, which is the supposed to be the later eras of the samurai warfare. So you're not just looking at samurai with bows shooting each other. You're going to be looking at all the stuff that they had available to them. So the muskets, the grenades, the cannons that eventually came in. So it's what you think of when you see samurai plus all the other gear. There's also some Korean and Chinese influences in there as well. Anyway, in order to actually use this, you will need the full Clash of Spears rulebook, because this is just a supplement. And if you look at the table of contents here, they have some new rules, and then they get into the war gear and scenarios right away, and a little bit of history at the end here was along with of course the armies. So there's no rules on how to play. You're going to have Clash of Spears first, which you can download as a PDF if you don't want to get a full rulebook, or you can go to the I'm sure if you go to Fighting Hedgehog's website, you can purchase one if you want themselves, if you want to try out the Punic War stuff. But yeah, this is a supplement. You need the original rules, and then you'll need to follow the rules and adjust them for samurai, basically, in your other games. If you hear a high-pitched noise in the background, that's just the heat coming through the vents here in this building. So I apologize for that if that's a little bit of a nuisance. So I'm just doing a walkthrough here. I'm not going to show you guys everything. I might even skip a few pages here. I just like to point out the great art in here that I've been seeing. I'm not sure who the artist is. Maybe I'll check after and mention after. And I love the shots here. All of the beautiful Japanese style scenery with all the terrain. Great look for Clash of Spears. I'm not going to go through everything in every section of the book here. They got some new characters in there, some assassins, messengers. They're going, I guess, with a ninja kind of stuff, right? I saw something earlier about a tea ceremony. So they're getting very cultural, actually, in some places here. Even got some, I guess it's a Nembutsu chap. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know everything about the Japanese warfare, the culture there. Soldiers in war, gear of war. What they've done is they've given generic weapons, not generic weapons, but generic names for the weapons. So like a hand weapon's a katana. I was looking at this earlier. If a heavier weapon is like a nodachi or the two-handed katanas, right? They've got the yari in different forms in the cavalry version. They've got pikes that are also yari, and then they've got things like the polearms, which are naginata and stuff. This guy's got a nice-looking naginata there. Okay. Then of course they've got bows, got slings and crossbows in here too, which is interesting because I didn't know Japan had access to that stuff, but maybe they did. China's nearby. Repeating crossbow here. Chinese had those, so that's there. They got the arquebus here, right? That's a gun, and guns came in through, I guess, the European contact, and eventually towards the end of the samurai era, they start using more guns. They even have grenades, which I'm going to assume comes from Mongolia. The Mongols apparently had some form of grenade, or maybe the Europeans, I don't know. And then they get into the armor. It's just going to be the various armors. Nothing too fancy to look at there. It's, I think, pretty self-explanatory. Just get the rules and you can check that out. They got shields, and then they got pavises. I don't see many samurai armed with shields, but I imagine some of them had shields. It's not like it's, it's protecting yourself. They must have had some shields. And the pavise, I assume, is going to be more like, I think you see some pictures where the samurai have guns and they set themselves up behind these pavise shields, kind of like they do with the crossbows in the European warfare. Like Genoese crossbowmen, except they're samurai or ashigaru with pavise shields and guns, something like that. Now this book here I noticed had a lot of traits, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's a lot of different traits here because there's a lot of different moves I guess the samurai can do. I don't recall from my videos of Clash if there was this many traits, but I imagine there would be. I just don't remember exactly. But all the different rules here for character traits, and certain troops won't be able to access some, right? Like some troops for example, if you're a mounted troop here, or you're using a mounted gun, you're obviously not going to apply that to the guys on foot, right? They've even got things like offhand parrying and parry repetition, stuff like that. There's a lot of rules here. They've got like lots of gun rules, like rotation of fire, shields, skirmish specialists. I think was something from the first game of Clash of Spear. Just a lot of rules that are going to be more appropriate for the Japanese warfare. And here's a great picture of the Clash game, right? It's about this size, where you got little units of guys fighting against each other, where you have to manage your fatigue and your morale, and that'll affect all the combat. There's some disposition traits here that I won't get into it. So this is more like I'm gonna call them passive traits, right? You guys can take a look at them yourself. Other tools of war. So they have some section of things that are like, things that aren't handheld. Things like artillery. They have light cannons. Clash of Spears doesn't have light cannons, right? Clash of Spears, the original one, had elephants and stuff. So this is kind of that section where they have extra rules. We won't look at all that there. This is an interesting one. This is kind of like a Korean repeating, what is it called? A volley gun, I guess. I don't know much about this one, so it's cool. They've included that. They've included a lot of stuff. Like I saw some Chinese stuff. So it's not just Japan. They've got like the European and, neighboring country influence in there. Of course, I've got some pickup scenarios here, and you can look at this quick here if you want this chart. This chart here is, roll a dice, and it says roll a d10 and pick a scenario. And then the scenarios here are just going to give you different victory conditions. I won't look at them too much. This was also in most rule books have this. Most rule books have some scenarios, and it's just, if you don't want to build your own scenario, you can find it in the rule book yourself and apply it to your game that way, right? Like if you don't want to come up with your own scenarios, roll a dice, and they've created some for you. Now this is the interesting one, because armies of the Sengoku period, I want to see how many armies they have. In my walkthrough before, I think we briefly cover how to build a warband. There's going to obviously be some different rules here, I'm assuming, because Japan might have set up their system. Like I can already see there's assassins and stuff in there. There's even a portable Buddhist shrine if you want to include that. So obviously that's not in the Punic Wars or anything like that, right? And of course they've got allies again. There are allies in Clash of Spears as well, so they have the different allies and system. All right, so here's a great map telling you in 1570 to 1580 essentially, where all of the I can read the Chinese. I don't know how to say it, and I don't know how to say it. I guess it's a Sengoku Jidai, but in the Chinese I say 战国时代. So I can read that. I just can't read the actual in Japanese. So anyway, here's the clans. If you're into the in this era, you'll know all of these names, I'm sure. These would make some really good decals. Hint, hint to myself. Some people were suggesting to include those in some decals in the future. So here we got the samurai clans and the Shimazu. Okay, so they're just going to give you all the troop types available to different clans. So I'm going to assume that there's going to be similarities. Like you got the Yari-Yashigaru here. They're going to be spear. Yeah, right. So they've got different things. So this guy has like Lebai Nagai Yari-Yashigaru, but these guys just have Nagai Yari-Yashigaru. So see, they have slightly different rules. So they're not all like copy and paste. It actually kind of reminds me of Shogun 2. You guys ever play that game by Total War? Where like a lot of the troops and the different clans were the same, but then each clan has like a specialization or something the other clan doesn't have, or some bonus. It's going to be something like that, right? And it looks like they've got all the major clans on all over, like Honshu and the surrounding islands here. There's the Mori clan. Here they put the Oda Toyorami and Tokugawa. They're similar, I guess, and they grew off each other over the period of time. The Takeda, the Takeda guys, I guess, on the front, they're the guys with the diamonds, and they usually are represented in red. I always remember them having like purely elite katana wielding samurai. That's what I remember them as. It's probably too much Shogun 2. Just the different clans. I got the Hojo in there, and it's cool. Oh, that's the Zelda clan, right? The Triforce. So that's the Hojo clan in there. The Date clan. They go all over Japan here. So you got lots of options. If you've painted guys from Date, Takeda, Hojo, whatever, I'm sure they got Iko Iki in here too. There it is, Iko Iki. These religious guys. See, if I played, I'd play them just because they're the most like I guess they're like peasants and rebellious monks and stuff. I think they're the most interesting because of the different types of troops. Got Iga here. I don't know much about them. Wako. I like the Wako too. These are like, you know, the guys on the sea and the pirates that are floating around. They've even got like one of the Wako boats in there. That's probably another one I would love to do. It'd be either Iko Iki or like Wako pirates, bandits and stuff. Guys that don't conform to the clan rules. They do their own thing. Okay, they got some Koreans here too, right? Because at one point, I think it's Hideyoshi. I don't remember which daimyo, but he decided to try and crazily invade Korea. So you can use these guys for that too. You know, you can have the turtle boats. If you watch that movie, I think it's called, here we go, Ming Chinese. Maybe that's the one I should be doing, because the Ming Dynasty, I can read the Chinese. I can write the Chinese characters properly. This guy's got Huang, he got yellow written on his banner there. So this might be mine too. Iko Iki, Ming Chinese, or the bandits, the Wako pirates. So in the end here, we have the different history here. And I'm not going to go through the history. This is something I haven't studied for many years. I took it in East Asian Studies in university. But I didn't, you know, the Japanese stuff is very interesting. But of course, my focus after became Chinese and Mandarin and stuff. So I didn't put too much focus on the Japanese part. It's still very interesting to read, and I recall bits and pieces of it. I'm not going to talk about the Takeda clan there. And it's just a lowdown on the history. And I like them to include this in a supplement because it will help you to build a scenario if you want to build your own, or build your forces, because you know maybe you're just getting into the war game and you just got Clash of Spears and then got Clash of Katanas. This will help you to, you know, get a little history behind what you want to do and when you want to do it, right? Because like for example, the Iko Iki aren't there the entire time. They eventually, I think, get wiped out. Is that true? I don't remember. Or they get absorbed. But you know, the clans get beaten, or they join with other clans and stuff. They don't last forever. Or you know, eventually they all, you know, they succumb or they get conquered or stuff like that. So a lot of history here. So it's kind of nice actually. Not a lot of rule books give you a big section of history, but I think for a supplement it's appropriate because they get right to the rules and then they get to the history of it. So you could even, you know, like I was saying, build your scenarios around the history and build on there. There's quite a lot in here. Okay, cool. So a big section here if you don't know anything about it. There's quite a bit here. A lot of history at the end. So a good chunk of the book is history. So bonus if you love to read the history books in your rule books and your supplements. I think it's good. This might be actually good. You know, I may not even play, oh, I like this art here now that I'm looking at it. I may not even play Clash of Katanas if I don't know if I'll ever get to Samurai and stuff. But this back part of the book is essentially just great for myself who like, you know, I like to read history. Just a kind of summarized section of just the history in general of the Sengoku Jidai. I'm going to assume that's what they're going to do. Okay, obviously it is because I'm right at the end of the book and that's the end of it. So, you know, if I want to just review it one day and be like, you know, I haven't touched up on my Japanese history for a while. You know, just read this period here. Lots going on and lots happening. And of course, in the end, they got the appendix here. The appendix gives you all the rules for the new weapons and stuff when you're applying them for Clash of Katanas. And then they got a bit of a, here you go, you see in the back here, Clash of Spears. I recall some of these pictures, seeing them online or in the rulebook. There are the credits there, and just some Zenit models here. They make some good miniatures, I've heard. I don't have any, but yeah, looks good. So that's my little flip through of Clash of Katanas. I got this from the Kickstarter I was saying, and I'll always support these guys. We kind of support each other back and forth. Had talks before. They've had some of the old scenery I did in their books, and you know, I still have them supporting my decal projects. So it's always good to see that Francisco and Alvaro come up with some awesome stuff with Fighting Hedgehog games. I got this from the Kickstarter, so you also, if you backed, you would have got these tokens. I imagine you get them on the Fighting Hedgehog website as well, but the tokens here are all stylized for, of course, the Sengoku Jidai, right? So it's all of the samurai stuff. And then there's a pack of cards here of the Zhanguo Shidai. Sorry, every time I see characters, I think in Chinese, because that's what I know how to speak. I can't open this, but I would like to open this so we can have a look at the cards here. There we go. See, Japanese characters, just on a side, are interesting here because they write their own versions borrowed from China, but then they also incorporate simplified and traditional. So sometimes, you know, when you're used to one and you look at Japanese, it's kind of a mix of different characters, to those of you that know the difference. So let's look at these cards here. More cards, and this again, I'm not sure on the website if this comes with it. So, okay, so these cards here are basically looking like your different traits, you know. So I'm assuming that, you know, you put them with the book. I don't remember having cards for Clash of Spears, but it would have been very useful. But look at that. They've got all of the different, I guess, traits or things going on with your units. So when you're playing the game, you'll have these available to kind of remind you and put by your units. And, you know, just when you're playing, kind of help you out, I guess, right? I don't use a lot of cards in a lot of games I play, but I know a lot of people do for games like Mortal Gods and now this game here with the Clash of Katanas. So, and the cards have nice little art with all the clans on the back there. So that was my pledge reward stuff from the Clash of Katanas Kickstarter and my little flip through. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you're interested to see the rules, I do have the videos that I did a walkthrough on Clash of Spears. You can look at that stuff. It's a series of longer videos if you want to check it out. Otherwise, yeah, that's Clash of Katanas. I've been releasing a lot of videos lately. It's the end of the year and get some stuff out that I wanted to do. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, comments, or want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. Just leave a like and we'll see you guys in the next video. So have a good one. Goodbye.